What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Push Through, where we are just sitting here talking about all the dumb things we're pushing ourselves through, whether it's family, life, kids, fitness, non fitness, you name it. Here we are. What's up, Jay?
Not much, dude. Just got back from a nice recovery meal. My mom's in town for the weekend. She bought the family some pizza to celebrate the race I had today, which we'll talk about a little bit. But I dominated a whole pizza by myself.
I haven't done that since I was a teenager, bro. How's puberty?
Dude, the whole thing. And I just kept eating. And then my mom's like, honey, do you need me to get you another one? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good after this. But so no, it was a good night. And then I went out, played football with. They had this place we went to eat. They have like a real cool patio, and they have these like raised nets so like kids can like play soccer and football and stuff. So I got in there and was playing full time QB for both teams on the football game. It was pretty fun. Good night.
Your bum shoulder, that's not your throwing arm?
No, no, it's
Uh,
not. It's left. Thank God.
Before we talk about us, I want to talk about other people.
Okay,
I don't
go
know
ahead.
I don't know if you saw it popped up today in the Discord when one of our Discord members, Nate, run his first marathon today.
Let's go. No, I haven't seen that. I've been out of it all
And
day today.
it was the Marine Corps Marathon, which is on my bucket list. It just looks epic. I've heard like just soldiers running it in full uniform, first
Oh wow.
responders. Like I've just heard it's just and you'll have to tell us more in the Discord chat. But yeah, no, I feel like just hearing people's wins left, right. We had Corey last week, now seeing Nate pop that up and didn't even tell us he was running his first marathon. So I guess we got some rogue people out there that are doing some pretty awesome things and sticking with fitness. And just I'm glad I saw that right before we hop on. So good on you, Nate. Well played. And he said that he didn't hit his goal. He didn't mention a time or anything, but on your first marathon, bro,
I think the goal is just finishing.
yeah, I mean, you can have some expectations of
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to walk across the finish line, but I think realistic goals of like, I would like to jog the whole time, or if you have a walk run plan, like sticking to your plans. I know a ton of people that do like jog, and because usually in these bigger races, they'll have water stops pretty much every mile. I know New York City that I'm doing next week has one every mile. So I know people in these bigger races, they'll plan run and then walk the aid station, which will give you like a nice 15-20 second walk, grab a cup of water, make sure you get nutrition. So if you have that plan, but I think coming out of time right off the bat, that's tough to do unless you've been
Yeah.
training and like you've done a couple 20, 23 milers. But he mentioned at 23 miles, he hit the wall. And I guess being like a data nerd that I am and looking so much into like the physio side of just knowing how our body reacts to stress. And I've known about that 21, 22 mile wall now since I started with endurance events. And it's so awesome to see like the difference between glycogen storage and depletion over time and how much we can replenish and how much that wall happens. And it's generally not a mileage thing. It's generally like a time thing. 2.5, 3 hours, things start to get weird. Anything, and that's I've preached many times on my long training runs. I never go over 3.5 hours on a training run.
Hmm.
And I mean, with the ultras, maybe I'll get a little bit more into that, but I think because at 3.5, that's kind of when you can't replace as much glycogen as in your system, and that's when you have to fight, or you have to learn how to be slightly fat adapted through intermittent fasting or just training your body through low carb periods and things like that. But yeah, no, I love hearing it. If anybody else like, there are many ways that you can reach out to us. It's
Yeah, share it.
We have like the Instagram. You can find us on the Discord, which also supports us financially. Thank you for that. You can leave a comment on YouTube. It's just the two of us, and with a small following, we don't really. It's not like, oh man, I can't keep up with this shit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
more like
no.
it's more like, hooray! Somebody DM'd us today.
I know, right? Hey, did you see that? What I like, dude, is the community is what keeps me going. Like seeing you, seeing Nate, seeing these guys who are, not only just running and killing it stuff too, but killing it in personal life as a dad or as a, paying off your mortgage or whatever it is. It's pretty awesome to see how everyone is kicking ass, changing their life, and, bettering their overall selves for them, not only themselves, but for their family too.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And that's kind of another awesome piece of this rebranding that we've talked about 100 times. Like that money piece is still there, but we never would have, if we would have started talking about marathon PRs when it was average money, people would be like,
Like,
well,
what the hell?
people did say, because we went off on tangents, because fuck it, it's
Sure.
our show, you know?
Right.
All right. Well,
I just messaged in the Discord to him.
Nice.
I was like, "Hey, we're talking about you right now. Congrats, dude."
I went back and listened to the podcast where right after you came here, when I think we went on a 10-mile run.
Okay.
I think we did
It was
maybe
6.
a 6 to 7 mile run.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, bud, I think something major you need to work on is cadence. Like if we can speed those feet up.
You did say that.
And you were like, it's hard. And I don't think
before you go any further, I want to say this. So, and I'm not defending myself. What I'm saying is I didn't believe it, like what you were telling me. I did not believe that affected running as much as it really does. Like I literally thought I could go out and run and that was it. I didn't think I needed to worry about cadence, about form, about where I placed my feet, about all, I mean, you're talking to the guy who wore shoes for like 2.5 years and ran in them. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't believe.
And I don't think that's why your knee was bothering you either. I just think there's always going to be more than one factor, right?
And yeah, for sure.
When your cadence is off, or your heel striking, which causes your cadence to be off, which causes different pressure in different places, like things like that happen. And I'm just glad I know it's hard. Like sometimes getting advice from a friend is a good thing, but other times getting advice from a friend or a spouse or something like that is like the same reason. Like I could coach my wife, right? I could write an amazing plan for her, but she ain't going to listen to it. But if I'm like, hey, I know a buddy who's a running coach. He sent me this plan to give to you. She'd be like, oh, this is the greatest plan you've ever I've ever seen in my whole life, And I'm glad that you got that. The point that I was going to make was not to toot my own horn, but I'm glad that you got that second and third opinion, even like, because we were talking even about how I was a shoe nerd, and you busted my chops a little, like you're over here talking about your heel drops and your treads and things like that. And I was like, regardless, like it's worth paying. And we're both frugal, cheap guys. And you had mentioned like, hey man, I don't know if $150 shoes is like in my budget. And at the time I was like, dude, if you're just casually running, it probably isn't.
Yeah.
But when you are going to make that step and you're going to go a little bit bigger,
for sure,
there is a huge difference. Maybe people don't realize, like, obviously there's branding, right? You buy a Jeep's going to cost more because of branding. You buy a pair of Hoka's, you're probably going to pay $5, $10 for branding. But there's definitely shoes out there, and you got to try different shoes, and it takes time. I was running with one of my brother's friends yesterday, and he's like, what do you, why he's doing the Shore to Shore 50K in April, the one I did last year. And he's like, why are you writing a 24-week block for that? Like, I have pretty good base fitness. Why do you want me on 24 weeks? And I was like, part of the reason I want you on 24 weeks has nothing to do with the mileage. I want 6 months for you to try 3 different shoes. I want 6 months for you to learn how to eat like real food and then go out and run on a full stomach. I want 6 months for you to get chafed 3 times and find the right pair of shoes. I want you to lose a toenail or 2 and see what I want you to get a blister on every part of your fucking body that you can. And although that can be done, like I think longer training blocks are better. And I think a lot of the times when we look at a training plan and we see the mileage, we just look at that volume and we just look at that time and we don't realize like, why am I going to go on a 20-mile run? I don't care if you finish the 20 miles. I'm more interested in when you get back from the 20 miles and you're like, oh man, dude, I've never had to poop so bad instantly. And I'm like, okay, what'd you eat right before that? Or like finding those carb limits and things like that. So it's, and you're about to start a marathon block, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk these new shoes. Let's talk, because I recommended a pair. They were a little tight, you said, for you, which is totally normal. It's trying to give somebody shoe advice is like trying to give them investing advice. It's not going to fucking work, So it's like, you got to go to a shoe store, try out some different things. And even if I hated a shoe, like you might be perfect for them.
Hmm.
And you finally found one that you liked on top of getting out of that PT and physio meeting last week, and things are starting to fall into place.
I'm just like waiting for something bad to happen, like, so first I want to back up real quick to what you're saying about you telling me about the cadence. I didn't want to come off as like trying to say, oh no, like, no,
You told me
what
to
I
go
was,
fuck. You told me to go fuck myself.
no, I'm talking about now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Now I'm saying, yes, you were right. Like 100% correct. I just made the point as like, that was just me being a dumb new runner.
Yeah.
I didn't think that stuff was that important, so I didn't spend the time. Like when you told me to do the metronome thing, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that shit. I don't give a shit, like whatever. And I never did it. And then I like the knee injury happened, and then like you said, I went to the PT, and she said the same thing you said, and I was like, all right, maybe Brad kind of knows what he's talking about. So I will say, dude, I've really been focusing on it. Every run I've been doing since PT, I've listened to zero music, and I've just had the beep, 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 beep. And I was like, I was scratching Lindsay's back in bed the other day, and I started tapping her, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I guarantee you this is 170 beats per minute. I go, hang on a second, let me grab my phone. I kept tapping.
What were you
And
tapping her with?
I'll let you guys think. So
she's like, yo, let me get a little bit of that 210 beats per minute.
oh my God, dude. Yeah.
Your heart explodes.
Holy shit.
Sorry for getting weird, guys.
Yeah, we'll try that tonight. That's I'm going max 200 tonight, baby.
Hey, sweetheart, I just learned that there's 150 beats per minute.
So, anyways, I'm tapping,
She starts calling out heart rates. She's like, oh, give me 155.
Oh my God.
Let's see 180, JJ. Let's see 180.
Hit me with the 220. 220? What do you think I am?
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, dude.
I'll put my shirt in. I'm sweating now.
So I turned on my metronome and boom, it was right on par. And I was like, I've been listening to this every day, or not every day, but every run for at least 30, 40 minutes. And like you said, dude, it just starts to like come to you. And then so what I did for the race, and we'll talk more about this, but real quick for the race, I had music at 170, like a playlist on Spotify, but it was a little hard. I could feel myself getting off track. So like I finally just turned it off at like mile 3 and turned the beeps back on to like mile 8. And then mile 8, I just kind of
because I think I was the one that told you, like, this is a little running hack. If like you don't want to listen to a 170 metronome, like you can type into Spotify, I do 180 beats per minute, and then whatever genre you like, you can literally type in 180 BPM EDM music, and you're going to get EDM music that's based around 180 beats per minute. The follow up to that is you kind of have to have a little bit of knowledge of music and how it works. Like I take that for granted, being a musician my whole life. Like I can hear the 180 beats per minute. Like, but like, yeah, definitely you'll go from the chorus to the bridge and things will change. But if anything, like every once in a while in a song, you'll hear it pick up, and then all of a sudden you'll just randomly feel your feet hitting the ground on those beats, and you're like, oh, that's what it is. And I also want to say, like, this is not only for hardcore runners, and I want to ask you this because I'm all in. So like everything I say is like, oh, this is great, but I'm trying to like speak to like the beginner or somebody like Corey that's been running casually or somebody that wants to pick it up. Do you find that focusing on form and things like metronomes and cadence, do you think it makes running more enjoyable? Like knowing that because I feel like we might be making people think like, oh, this is so technical. Like I can't casually go out and go for a run, but I see it as like, you wouldn't try and build something without like the right tools or at least like looking like these are just little things to me that make it more enjoyable. Like I like hearing my breath work, and I like hearing my feet hit the ground, and I like practicing different things. And do you find that the same way, or do you think like this is bringing away from the enjoyment of running and making it almost too much work?
I think I'm in the middle. So like at my first run, I literally thought to myself on the first run, I'm like, fuck this. Like this sucks. Like I wasn't like, my heart rate was skyrocketing. I kept getting off beat to metronome. I was getting tired. I was like, this is not it. Nothing felt right. It was like, I'm trying to think of an example right now. Like, for example, okay, say you throw a football a certain way, right? And you've been doing it for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes in and is like, how about you throw the football this way? And it's like holding it backwards and doing some other weird shit with your elbow or whatever. Like, that's what it felt like to me. So the first day, I'm like, oh, this isn't feeling the greatest. And then it did pull away from just like going out and enjoying a run, because I enjoy listening to music when I run. It's a way for me to just to kind of like meditate, to let everything go, enjoy it, and just think about whatever I want to think about, or think about nothing at all. Well, now I'm like, okay, focus on cadence. Oh, my feet are a little off. Let's speed up or take that step. Oh, wait. Oh, hang on a second. I'm heel striking right now. Let me fix that. Let me get more mid foot. Okay, I'm back off cadence again. Like, that part sucked. But I will say this: nothing comes easy, and anything worth having takes a little bit of work. And I told myself that. So and I've only been doing this for like, what, 2 weeks now, I think. We're like really focusing on form and cadence. And I'm already able to like turn off the metronome for a little bit, turn on some music, or like at least know where I kind of need to be. So like I'll say this from the beginner standpoint, it's a little much at first, but if you want to do it the right way, I would say do it to learn it, get through it. And I can see myself maybe in a few months being to that point where I can go back to like enjoying the run, but in the right way. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead.
Yeah, no, dude, that is an incredible, incredible analogy that you just made. And I I didn't have that experience in sport, but I had it in music. Like guitar, I was self-taught. And then I got to a certain level in the guitar where I knew I needed like some sort of lessons or a coach or whatever. So I signed up for lessons, or somebody got me lessons as a gift because I was too stubborn to do it myself. And I remember the first thing for anybody that plays guitar, like you strum up and down with the pick. And a common beginner mistake is to just strum down or just strum up. So he had me playing scales that I knew how to play. I learned the scales, but I only knew them strumming down. And like he's like, "Yo, can you play the major scale?" And I'm and he'd be like, "Nope." He's like, "You have on every second beat, you have to up strum." And I immediately became a first day guitarist, and I was
Yeah.
so pissed. And I almost didn't go back to him because I was like, "This guy, like, I'm there to like learn this, that, and the other thing," but he essentially sat me down and was like, I can't build on this plateau. You've reached a plateau because you've reached the limits of your strumming style. Like you're not getting better because you can't pull off certain things if you continue to have these poor habits. Or like in skiing, same thing. Like if you don't learn how to ski the right way, you get a little bit older and then someone tries to tell you like, hey, pick this ski up and pull it up. But you're like, no, that was a perfect. Yeah. And I think we grow up like you think to yourself like, dude, I ran from the cops. I know how to fucking run. You know?
Right. Exactly.
And it's more like, do you know how to run for a little bit of time, or do you want to run efficiently so that the cliche like my knees hurt, or like, you know, how do you need, is your back, what's up with your joints? Like the reason that people do that, and you're a great example, like we think we can do it right. We think we know how to do, like running's instinctual, and you know, but we don't run the way we did when we were cavemen. Like we have these shoes, we sit slouched over, we don't have good posture, our core is weak. So when we start to learn these things, and you made another great point, it just becomes so fluid. And like I mentioned to you yesterday on my run, I cannot believe how much I know my heart rate to the beat without looking at my watch. It blows my fucking mind. And it took 8-9 months. But I went out yesterday. I was like, I'm going to run at 142 and just see how close I am. And it was like 142, 143, 143, 142. And I'm like, oh, 5 miles. And my heart rate didn't vary more than 2 beats per minute. I'm like, yeah, it's all that small foundational work. Blows your mind.
Dude, that's totally it. I saw a post the other day of I think it was a girl who ran a marathon or something like a year ago or 2 years ago. It was an older post. And she had they showed a picture of her waist, not her waist, of her wrist. And it showed her skin tone, and you could see like the suntan line of where her watch goes. Cause like, you know, she wore her watch all the time, but she didn't have the watch on for the race. So the point of the post was like, she understands where she needs to be. She can read her body. She knows her heart rate, where to take it, where she can pick it up, where she can't, to stay consistent through training, through learning that foundation. And that takes a long time to do that. But once you get the fundamentals down, which is what I'm trying to work on right now,
Yeah.
then you get to your point where you're like, I can go out and run without a watch and I know roughly right where I'm going to be at. And that's the ultimate goal, dude. Like, I can't imagine going on a run right now and being like, yeah, I'm sitting right around 145. Like,
The marathon that I'm running, not take away from your race because I'll go back to it, but I'm doing the New York City Marathon next week, which will probably record right after that. Dude, the only thing that's going to be on my watch is the time of day.
yeah.
That's the only thing that's going to be on my watch, because
So you're just going to run out. Like, so like your plan is to go out, run to what feels good, or are you going to like, how do you read that?
yeah. So I mean, it's actually kind of nice. The first mile is over a bridge, so it's like kind of uphill, and that's going to keep me kind of in check. And this is also knowing the course. Like I know the New York City Marathon course, and I know that hill in the beginning kind of keeps you from going out too hard. And yeah, I try and say in the first 5K, so the first 3 miles, I want to try and be talking to somebody the entire time. So that's like my zone 2 threshold. I know that if I can hold a conversation, regardless of what my pace is, my heart rate is where I need it to be. So it's going to be a lot of, wow, this is really cool. And you know, the people that are out there that will chat, ultra runners way better at this than road runners, by the way. You know, like, so I'll be able to say like, oh, is this your first time? Or, oh, look at this view. What a beautiful day. And for the goal for the first 5K is going to literally be, let's talk the whole time. And then the second, probably 10K, which will get me to about 10 miles. Just kind of like learning what I did in that first 5K and kind of just going with it. By then I'll kind of know where my pace is at, because they have clocks at like every mile or so. And then at mile 13, it's just full send.
Yeah.
It's just, that's all it's going to be. It's going to be, let's go into the pain cave and hurt, negative split, hopefully. And that's going to be, yeah, I mean, I'm still going to have my GPS on. If I feel like I'm going fucking haywire, I'll look. But my goal, and that was kind of that training run that I went on today, was just to go out and see, do I really know what 141 feels like? And do I know what cadence feels good for 144 and things like that, especially with the temperature is going to be about the same. Like, I couldn't do that when I worried about pace. And I think pace holds an important piece of training. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I love heart rate, but I think especially if you're going to be shorter distances, marathons or under, you know, that track work that you're going to do, that should, I think, be pace built. I think you should know your threshold pace and your threshold heart rate if you're going to train seriously, and not just be like, oh, I want to accomplish this. Like if you're trying to place or you're trying to PR, I think training for a specific pace is definitely going to be great.
Sorry, I can hear my kids, so I'm on mute right now. But let me ask you this question, because this is something I come across in my easy runs. So as a beginner, your heart rate is kind of all over the place. You know, like I may start off on a run and I'm starting at 120, or like, you know, once I start getting up there, like I'm right around 120. And then as the run progresses, let's say a mile in, I'm looking down and again, this is my watch. Also, I'm going to be buying a heart rate monitor to hopefully get a more accurate reading. But one thing I've noticed that's kind of hard to do, because with this marathon training coming up for me, I really do want to focus on zone 2 running. The question I have for you is, let's say I want to be under 150 or under. What I've noticed is whenever I start running, my heart rate keeps going higher until around 165 when I'm truly just like doing a nice, easy jog. It'll get up to like 165, maybe 170 if I'm about 3+ miles in. But then if I start walking, it'll drop right back down to 120, 115. So I'm like, when do you know when you should stop running? Like, when has your heart rate gone too high? Is it right at 150? You need to go back down and bring it back down to 115, or can you let it go? Because like on some of my runs, I'll look and it'll be like, oh, you know, your max heart rate was 175, but your overall average was 145 because I walked half of it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I first started like working with the Maffetone method, which is the zone 2, 180 minus your age heart rate,
You always know Brad's about to bust some knowledge when he grabs his glasses and like tilts them like this. He's like, oh,
Is
here
that
it comes.
is that my tell?
You do it all the time, dude.
That's my tell.
Yes.
Technically,
Technically, but yeah, see,
let me check my pocket watch. Well, that's a good tell. Maybe that's how I screwed up poker all those years. Uh, I would pretty much walk anytime. I think I would set my because your watch also has alarms. You could set like a heart rate alarm, and I think I had it at 142 or something like that. And
I did not know that, by the way.
yeah, you can set alerts for pace and for heart rate.
Oh.
And it just goes beep beep, and you'll get a little beep beep vibrate. So like if you listen to music, you'll feel it on your wrist. And I would first start by just slowing down and seeing if that worked. But early on in the day, I would be like power walking. It wouldn't be like walk, but it would be. So
you're saying I shouldn't let my heart rate ever go above that 150.
If your goal is to like really adapt to that, I would say, yeah, I wouldn't even let it go. Wow. I wouldn't and because what's happening here, right? We have slow twitch and we have fast twitch muscles, and not to be like really nerdy, but if you're a fast twitch muscle person, you're a sprinter or a CrossFitter like I was, right? When you get into an hour run, I thought what you were going to say is you can keep it down, and then all of a sudden it just exponentially shoots up. It will go like, all right, I'm at 140, I'm pushing a little, it goes 150, and then it goes 150 to 180. And what essentially is happening is those fast twitch adapted athletes are now trying to build slow twitch muscles, which take a long time to develop. And because they take a long time to develop, people get frustrated. And that's the Maffetone method is all about building that aerobic base and building those slow twitch muscles. So if we want to build those muscles, and you'll read like, depending on how many zones of heart rate you want to use, like those middle ones are just like transfer zones. The way I see it, like zone 3 is like a passing zone. It should be the left lane. So you're in like 1 and 2. And then if you're going to do tempo work, speed work, intervals, thresholds, you'll just pass through zone 3. But the more time we're spending in zone 3, our cardiovascular respiratory system is kind of confused. Like, are we fucking going for it? Or are we building slow twitch muscles? Like, what are we doing? And I think, yeah, for me, once I found out where my aerobic threshold was, the top of my zone 2, as soon as I would go over it, I would, like I said, I wouldn't walk immediately, but I would kind of slow down. I would just, even if I was like kind of power walking or this, that, and the other thing. And then I would just kind of watch it. And I just spent a lot of time staring at my wrist in the beginning, but you'd be surprised how fast, things you figure it out. Right now, the only times I have major troubles in seasonal changes. And I think it's harder definitely going into summer because you come out of winter and spring and you're fit, and then the heat really affects your heart rate and you're not ready for it. And then all of a sudden you're like, why am I running so slow? Mm-hmm. Like, why did my pace I get a minute slower per mile? But then like, if you get through a full season, like right now, my mind is fucking blown running 745 at 140, where in August, when it was hot and humid, I was running 905s at the same exact heart rate. I took 2 minutes off with the temperature change of 30 degrees.
Here's my thing though, dude. And this is what like I love about the community and being online and seeing other people do this stuff is like, I've seen you, and like you shared like pictures with me of a year ago and what you were running at your heart rate currently. And what was the one you sent me a year ago? You were at like running a 1030 pace or something
1035
like that.
Pace a year ago today.
At your 145 heart rate or whatever it was.
Same exact temperature, same temperature.
Yeah. And now you're at in a year's worth of work and you're at 7 something.
I took 3 minutes per mile off at the exact same heart rate in 1 year.
Blows my mind.
Mine too.
Blows my mind.
Mine too, dude. Like, and granted, are there other factors that, yeah, I lost 15, 20 pounds, maybe 30 pounds in the last year and a little bit more before that. But like,
stop drinking.
Yeah. Like today's day 301 today. But who's counting?
Let's go, baby.
Still got my Heineken NAs here, but yeah, dude, I wish I'm very good at like believing the system. Like I don't know whether it's from school or whatnot, like, or being an athlete. I always knew that things take time, or maybe it's the business side of me or the investing side of me. I know things don't happen quickly. So I don't have a need for immediate gratification. I
Right.
can wait things out. And especially when I started running again and I was a lot heavier and a lot slower, I had an excuse to go slow.
Yeah.
Like I instead of being like, oh man, I was slow today, I'd tell Tara like, I probably could have went faster, but my heart rate training, I had to keep it down, and then all of a sudden my heart rate stayed and I had to speed the pace up. And
Oh, I bet that's such a good feeling, dude.
yeah, dude, it's weird, but I wish I could go back because I'm almost getting to the point. Almost. I'm not there and I'm not tooting my own horn, but the people that are joining the Instagram page now, just finding out about me. Like, remember when we used to make YouTube videos and we felt like every single video we wanted to start the video with, we used to be poor. We used to have a ton of
Yeah.
fucking debt. We used to be frugal.
Yep.
We used to not go on vacation or buy shit because people would immediately get in the comments like, oh, that must be nice. It
Yeah.
must be nice. There's people now I'm starting to get the like, yeah, well, not all of us can run 745 pace at 140. And I want to be like, yo, dick, like scroll back.
Yeah.
Because my first Instagram post, which was last December, not even a year ago, was last December when I hit halfway to a year on my mile streak. It was like 176, December 15th or something like that. Dude, I'm fucking 220 pounds in that reel. And I was pumped, ecstatic that I was running 10-minute pace for a 5-mile run.
Wow.
So it's like, and that's, I tell you, and you don't believe me when I tell you, like, you're going to go 15 hours of grindstone. You're like, you can go fuck yourself. And because now I've been the proof of concept, I've figured it out, and I know that you right now have a better base of fitness than when I started a year ago. So it's like, shit, you're going to be running like 7-minute pace in marathons in a year.
If you put so unreal to me, but
I know it's me too. Like my father, I joked about my father-in-law in New York City. It's fucking going down. But when I first met him 9 years ago, I've been married to my wife for 10 years. So I've known my father-in-law for 13 years now. And I'd been doing Ironmans and stuff like that. And he was a cop and we first met him and he's like, oh, runner, Ironman. Oh, I used to be a little bit of a runner myself. And then like, he's telling me all of his times and things like that. And sure enough, I'm thinking to myself, I will never, ever, ever run sub 9-minute pace in a marathon. Like it fucking, that's amazing. Good for you. And then I used the excuse, like he was 26 or 27 when he did it. I'm like, we're not getting any younger. And he ran 3:47. And that was like a time that I wouldn't even try. I like to talk trash, but I would never even, a year ago, I was still telling him
Sounds unreal.
When I signed up for the New York City Marathon a year ago, I was like, still no shot. Like let's try and beat 4:17. Dude, I could beat 4:17 like if I started drinking again the night before. Like I think I could beat 4:17. Like something bad has to happen for me to go 4:17 now. And yeah, now I'm more excited like to watch you go through that process. The same thing with like when I told you, cadence in a pair of shoes and you were like, I don't know. And now 6 months later, you're like, son of a bitch, cadence in a pair of shoes goes a long way. Like, I can't wait till we're making episodes next November, next October.
Yeah.
And you're going out there running 7:30s and you're like, dude, remember when I thought I blew out my knee and I couldn't operate. I bought my first pair of shoes. When you go back and you run this 10-miler again next year and you run 7:15 pace, that's what happened to me at Tesla Hertz 2 weeks ago. A year ago, 10-mile trail race. I went 2 hours and 17 minutes. This year I went 1 hour and 20 minutes.
And podium, right?
Yeah, second place overall. Like, what the fuck is going on? So like that's why
I think the biggest thing from this though, dude, is like in for everyone listening, like the biggest thing that clicked for me is seeing you do it. I'm not gonna lie. I've said this so many times, like, and I tell Lindsay and I tell other people I talk to about running, like, you are the main reason why I've gotten into running, because I saw the progress you made. And I always had the mindset, like, honestly, it was kind of like people who are in debt and whoever's stumbling upon podcast. We always bring money into it because we used to be a money podcast, but I always compare it to like people who are in debt or like, just not doing well with money right now. And they just make excuses like, oh, I'll never get ahead. I can never get ahead. But I think if a lot of people saw someone that was where they were at, and then to see the work they did to get out of that, to make it known, be like, hey, holy shit, maybe I can do this. That's exactly what you did to me, dude. Like I've never been a runner. I never thought about running. I always thought like, oh my gosh, a 7-minute mile. Like I can't even do that in 1 mile. Like, maybe right now I could, but before. Mm-hmm. And to see you do it motivates me. And then like with your knowledge and the stuff you've taught me and things I just learned from whatever, it's like, this really can happen.
Yeah.
It's just if you're willing to put in the work, like this is anything in life, dude. Like if you want to go through life living pretty simple and like not really do anything, like, more power to you. But if you want to challenge yourself and try to push through a little bit and push, no pun intended, and be able to, work a little harder than the average individual, it is fucking incredible what you can achieve, because most people give up. Like, let's just be honest. Most people will give up. If you are that 1% that just takes it the extra level and keeps going, it is incredible on any standpoint in life, running, money, whatever it may be. It makes me think though, I'm like, why are more people not doing it? Why?
Well, for the same reason that like a year ago making this podcast, I'd bring a 6-pack of beer down and still have to go back up. Like the path of least resistance is nice.
So true, dude.
Dude, it's cush, man.
It's easy.
Oh, it's so nice. And I miss it, but there was a funny thing. I used to date a woman that was trying to lose a lot of weight. And one thing she would always say was like, no food tastes as good as being thin feels. And like, maybe I'm like,
oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it was, she was very good at losing weight, but, I feel like no beer or no party feels as good as how I feel when I run. And
for sure,
I see it. I see the response even from my students, who would never care about anything I was doing in life, but they can relate to, like, they know what running a mile is, or they can understand it. And I have in my Instagram, like, my actions are my message. And that's the reason that I'm talking about it, is because so many people, dude, we have this fucking documented, man. We can go back and listen to when we first tried the mile streak, and it was we were recording the podcast on a live stream, and it was 11:15 at night. I was drunker than a skunk.
Yep.
You were drunk.
Yep.
And we were like, should we start it right now? And we ended the podcast at like 11:45 at night so that you and I could both go run it. And we got back, and I called you. It was like 12:01. It took me like 14 minutes. I was bombed, and I was like, we're going to do this, and I just can't believe that was a thing. I can't believe that's what I guess we didn't know that it was the right thing, but it was just easier. It was just easier to self-sabotage. It was easy to say, I can't run because I drink, or I got kids, or I got things like that. And I just, not to toot my own horn, but I want people to know how good we feel, because just like getting your money, like, this is something that anybody can go do, man. And it's so fucking good, man.
I've never felt better.
And the goals and the things you can achieve, like, dude, like running a 5K. I did them when I was a kid and stuff. I wish I was an adult and got to experience what, like, you ran your first race ever today.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that feels like. I get to run my first 100Ks and run my first marathons and things like that. But, like, how did that feel today? Because you posted something on your Instagram, like, oh shit, was that just like how many people were there? And you were like, you because you go to a race, especially a big one, like you did, a popular one, you're like, there's this many fucking runners around.
Well, let me back it up even a little more than that. We're driving down the highway. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, and I have my watch on, and I'm like, I get like anxiety and all this shit. I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous.
Do you
And
got
I
poop?
looked,
Do you get nervous poops? You got poop?
oh, I poop every morning, so like
Like,
I got that out of my system.
so I'm race morning. I'm a 10 pooper.
I did go whenever we got to the race, but I look at my watch and I go, holy shit, babe, my heart rate's at 106. And I'm just like sitting in the seat, just like, like all freaking out. And she's like, Jesus. So we get to the race, and the picture you're talking about is yes. So first, they should have had double the amount of porta potties that were there, because I was literally waiting in line forever to go take a piss.
Was that your first porta potty though?
No, I've done, dude.
You
in
were
construction,
okay,
bro.
Okay. Yeah, my bad.
So anyways, we went to or waited in line at the porta potty, and I made it the first round because we got there early, and took the pee, little morning poop, porta potty poop. Felt good. But then they delayed the race by 10 minutes because of the lines of the bathrooms. And I was like, "Ooh, I really do think I need to go pee again." And remember this for later in the story. I said, let me go try. So I went and got in line real quick. And then all of a sudden it was like the 10-minute delay was over, and I had like 6 people in front of me still. I was like, I'm just going to go. So I took off. I left the line. I didn't go pee. I started running. It was because like this is my first like real race I've ever done. I ran a 5K with Mason, but like that was on Mason's terms and I was helping him. Like it was never a race where I was like in my own head, judging each mile. How does my body feel? What does my feet look like? Where's my cadence at? What do I want my music to be? Like everything. So as soon as I took off, I said, do not go out hot. Whatever you do, do not go out hot. I was expecting to run around like 11. My goal pace, if my knee was feeling okay, was like 11:30. As long as my heart rate was fine. First mile I run in like 10:30. Or no, I'm sorry, it was 10:20. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm a minute fast. And dude, this is the problem. The 10 milers and the 5Kers were running the same loop the first time. And like, I felt like I was running slow, and I had people zooming past me, and I was like towards the like mid to back part of the race. And I'm like, what the shit is going on? Like, why am I running so slow? And then I look down, I'm like, I was just watching heart rate. My heart rate was still fine because it was only a mile in, not even a mile. Well, once I saw my watch come up, because I wasn't looking at my pace, I was looking at my heart rate, and it said 10:20. I was like, oh shit, I need to slow down a little bit. I was like, I know my body, and I know I cannot keep that pace for 10 miles. So we hit second mile, and I slow down quite a bit. People keep passing me. And that's kind of like, I will say that's a little bit of a mental, especially someone like me who's very, very competitive. That was a mental mind F that I had to get over. And I just had to say, most of these people probably aren't running 10 miles. Just chill out, wait till the 5K loop's over, and then adjust your situation and what you're doing. So I would say from there on out, I did start slowing down more. I have a reel coming out tomorrow where it's like showing all my splits. So I slow down a little bit. Each mile gets a little slower to like mile 5. Well, mile 3 hits. We go past the 5K loop. I see Lindsay. I'm like, hey, I'm feeling great. I had a little bit of a sweat. It was a little humid, but felt fine. And then all of a sudden the pee came back. And I was like, oh no. And like, I'm a peer. Like I pee a crap ton. Like when I drink water, I pee every 5 seconds. I feel like my bladder's the size of like a little, I don't even know.
Like a pee.
Yeah, it sucks. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to hold this, but I'm like, there's no way I'm wasting 30 seconds to a minute of going in the porta potty, because there's nowhere else to like just turn around and pee. The cool part of that race, it was actually in a cemetery, and it was like super foggy and misty. They had Halloween music playing. It was a pretty cool vibe, but there was nowhere to like go out in the woods and piss. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to try and hold it. Mile 4 came, felt worse. I was like, gosh dang it, I really have to piss. This is bugging me, and this is ruining the race. Like it was messing with me. Mile 5, it went away. Like magically, it just like went away. And I was like, what the shit? This has never happened. Like I've never had piss just like in my bladder just magically go away. But like I've never also been running mile over mile at a time.
I thought you were going to say that you just went, and then I was going to be like, you made fun of me for pooping in the woods 2 weeks ago. You made a reel calling me out. There you are. I was going to say I was just went. All right, go ahead. It goes away.
So it goes away. So around like mile 4 or 5, Well, the whole time I'm running this, I see this guy right next to me, and he's been running right next to me the entire time. Like him and I are right on stride for stride. And I said, okay, I'm gonna say something to this guy if he doesn't go left to the 5Kers. Like if he stays in 10 miles, I know him and I are like on the same pace, give or take, for the 10 miler. So I see him. It was like everyone's like, all right, 5Kers left, 5Kers left, 10 milers straight. So we kept going straight, and he was right next to me. So I looked at him, and we both said something to each other. And I think we were both like waiting to see if we were both running the 10 miler or not. And then we started talking. And like you mentioned earlier about like having the conversations out there, like that was also like a little feel good moment for me. It's like, cool, I can still have this conversation while I'm running this. This is going to slow me down a little bit. I feel good. I felt okay. Like the pee was gone. And him and I started talking back and forth about like, he was in the same boat as he started running in April. I started running like May-ish, like seriously. And so we were just kind of talking about heart rates and, our form and, how we're getting along and, just like everything you and I just talked about. So him and I start running. And I think we stayed together for like another like we were like till like mile 7, I think. And then I felt my heart rate spiking even more because like we were speeding up a little bit. I was still talking a little bit. So finally I was like, hey man, great talking to you. I said, I'm going to slow down a little bit. I need to get this heart rate down because I knew I was going to drop that fucking hammer around mile 8, 8.5. So I backed down a little bit, slowed down, recouped, felt good. I felt kind of my heart rate decreasing again. I was looking down. It was still sky high. So slowed down. But dude, the whole time, I'll say this, the one thing I was worried about in this race was my knee. And I did not feel my knee act up on me once. Not once. Now, besides like muscles and just like, the typical shit you feel when you go on like a 10-mile run when you're still new, like I knew the difference of what my knee felt like and where it was versus what just random leg, calf pain and whatever, just my legs being wore out. Because I haven't ran 10 miles in a while. I've been resting because of the knee. So that made me feel excellent. Like any problem I would have had in the race, the fact that my knee was not hurting me, like just lifted my spirits. I saw Lindsay one more time around mile 7, and I told her, she like came out and was like ramming me for like 100 feet or whatever. She's like, how you feeling? I was like, I feel freaking great, babe. I said, I looked at her because I told her, I was like, I just want to finish the race. It's been forever. I haven't really been training seriously for like the past couple of weeks past few weeks really. And then even before that though, dude, I was out 4 weeks for the knee, after I came back a little bit. I looked at her and when we were driving, she's like, if you finish, that's great. And I'm like, deep down, I'm like, I know I want to finish, but like, I want to do fucking good too. So I looked at her when we were mile 7. I go, babe, she's like, are you doing okay? I'm like, I'm doing great. I said, I'm probably going to PR if I can keep this up. And like, I knew I was about to drop the hammer. Like I could just tell my body was ready. I was like, I got the runner's high like twice in the race. And I was like, felt the goosebumps from my toes to my head, and my whole face was like, like wanting to cry.
You start to visualize yourself going over the finish line.
Oh,
and dude, start, yeah.
Dude, I was so fucking pumped, man. And like the music was bumping real loud, and I'm like, I'm going, baby. I'm going. I felt so good, dude. And just like the whole wind and the trees going past me. I'm passing people. Fast forward to mile 8, 8.5. So I started taking off. I'm like, okay, I was following this group of people. They were probably running around 11:30 pace as well. I stayed right behind them. I said, do not pull away from this group because they are staying right at 11:30. And that's right where I wanted to be. And I knew I needed to keep that or under to PR my 10-mile race. Now, again, my first goal in my head was if my knee gives me any issue, I'm walking. That was the plan. I was going to slow down, walk, because I didn't want to screw up the marathon training. That was my main thing. Well, since my knee felt good and I was at mile 8, I'm like, all right, it's time to fucking send it. Like, let's go. So I blew past the 11:30 mile group right at 8 miles. And I said, I'm taking a risk here because I'm already 8 miles into this race. And I know I have 2 miles to go, and to kind of send it for 2 miles. I haven't done that in a long time. And I know my body's stamina is not built up for that. I said, but I know my mind can like mentally push through it, and I can make it happen. So I didn't go from like 11:30 to like 9-minute pace. I was like slowly creeping up. So like every half mile, I tried to push it up another 30 seconds. So I went to 11, then I went to 10:30, then I went to 10. And at one point I was running like almost under, I was running like, at one point I looked down, I was like 9 minutes flat. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of booking it. I need to slow down just a hair. because I was getting tired, and that's whenever my heart rate spiked to like 202 on my watch. And then so let's say what we have a mile left, right? I'm still feeling great, dude. But I will say there was one last loop, and it was down a road and back. So you literally went all the way down and you came back. And it was my second time doing it. And I was, around 8.5 miles or so. So I know I'm getting close to the race. But as I'm running, I'm like, holy shit, this turnaround point is a lot farther than I thought. And I think to myself, like, I got to run all the way back, then loop back around to go to the finish line. And I kept running. And it was playing mental games with me because I could feel my body just starting to shut down because I was overdoing it. And I was like, holy shit, I have to run this whole way back plus some. So I was like, okay, maybe I should slow down just a little bit, get to the turnaround, and then pick it back up again. So that's what I did. I slowed down a little bit. As soon as I slowed down, I saw a turnaround point. I was like, oh shit, I'm here. Because it was right over a little corner. So I go around, I see the turnaround point. I'm like, if I just kick it into gear, like I know I'm roughly a little over a mile out. I know I can hold on for 9 more minutes if I just send it. So I did that. I picked it up. I was like, let's go, dude. Like I was just ready to finish. I was ready to PR. I knew I was going to PR unless like I fell or something like that. So I started running, getting back to like I was probably around 9:30, 9:40, 10 minute, 10:15. I was all over the place that last mile because I was just like trying to hang on. Dude. So I see the finish line, right? I look down at my watch. I already crossed 10 miles on my Garmin watch, and I had like a 1/10 of a mile to go. My body shuts down. Just shuts. My eyes started like going. And all of a sudden, I felt like yeah. Well, that's where the heart rate was, 205 or whatever the hell it was. And I see like, I start seeing those little like clear bubble speck things in my eyes, and I feel pukes coming up. And I was like, I cannot be the guy who finishes a 10-mile race in almost 2 fucking hours and then pukes on top of that. I said, I can't do it.
Nothing, you're hungover.
Oh my God, dude. So I'm literally, I see Lindsay at the finish line. She's like right in the middle. There's me and like one other, here's the other thing. There's one other guy I was running against. And I'm usually the type of guy where like, if I got a guy next to me, you're not going to finish before me. Like, I'm just going to run faster than you. And I don't even know where you're at on your time. I just want to beat you. So him and I are coming down the final stretch, and he like I hear this whole group like screaming, "Oh, Mike. And I'm like, who the fuck is Mike? And then I see everyone like have signs. There's literally like 20 people for this dude. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna beat this guy's ass. I'm like, starting.
He's 90.
No, he was like my age. That would have been better if he was 90, yes. So he starts, he sees his family and everything. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, then I'm like, okay, I'm starting to take off. Well, as soon as I start to pick up it again, that's when the bubbles and everything starts happening, and I see my stomach. I can feel my stomach coming up in my chest, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to puke. And like when you just physically can't do anything anymore. Lindsay's like, go babe. And I literally, I'm like, she has a video of it. I'll try.
Yeah, where's this video?
I'll do it. So it's coming in the reel. So you see me stop at the finish line 5 feet from it. And like, dude, my whole face is like this. Cause I sent it too long. I redlined it for way too long. So as soon as I crossed the finish line, oh dude, I felt it coming. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm a puker after working real hard. So I go straight down to the chair, and she's like, good job, babe. I was like, hey, hang on, I'm not feeling too good. She goes, oh my God, are you okay? I was like, no. Like I was so weak, dude.
I fucking sent it, baby girl.
We got that 1 hour and 50 minutes.
I'll show you my heart rate later.
Oh my God. Yeah, there you go. So I sat down in the chair. This is the other part. So going back to the peeing issue. Bro, when I sat down, I've never felt this pain in my life. I had a sharp pain in my bladder, and I almost felt like pee was about to come out. Like I couldn't physically hold it. I don't know something was going on internally where like the piss literally almost like just straight came out into my pants. So I told Lindsay, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to piss. And I can't even like I'm half to it right now. And I'm like having to walk over, waddle to the porta potties. I went piss, came back, drank some water, sat down for a little bit. And then I was like, that was golden again. Like I was back at it. But the finish was not pretty. It was not pretty
Did
at
Mike
all.
beat you?
Mike passed me, or he finished before me. Yes, I know.
Fucking Mike.
I know. So yeah, I mean that was a quick summary of the race. I'll say this, dude. I'm trying to think of other times I've had that much fun while also bettering myself mentally and physically. I wish I would have done this years ago.
Right?
I wish this is something I could have done a lot sooner in life because like not only do like am I better like I'm seeing my body change again, I'm seeing me lose weight, I'm seeing me eat better, I'm seeing me not crave sweets and alcohol and shit like I did before because I'm just not eating it. And also I'm treating my body better. And whenever you treat your body better, your body craves better food. So running this race, dude, like I had time to think and like reflect on everything. And I'm like, this is like what I'm doing right now. I may be adding years onto my life and I just don't even know it.
You are.
Like I could have had heart disease at 55 or 60 and had a heart attack or whatever it may be. But now that I'm literally changing my life, it feels good, dude. It feels really good. And I've never, and not only that, but on a mental aspect, like on the anxiety and depression standpoint, like, dude, like I have my days, don't get me wrong. Like I think I'll probably deal with that my entire life, but I have never, ever felt better than honestly than I do right now. Maybe being in shape in high school or something like that. But like, who feels like they do when they're 18 in their 30s or 40s? You know what I mean? So
Right.
I can feel myself getting back there. Like, dude, when I wake up in the morning, I used to like look at myself in the mirror in the bathroom and be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, man? You look like shit. Like
Yeah.
you look like shit. And then I think about my wife and I'm like, I want to be a guy. I want to be a man to where my wife is like, damn, my husband's still like he's still looking good.
Dude,
He
I
still looks great.
I
And
used to
when I
look like
wake up, I see myself in the bathroom mirror now. And that's my that's my judging call for me is like, how do you feel when you wake up? What do you look like? And how are you going to act? Like, how are you going to prepare yourself for that day? And it's been a complete 180, dude. And I'm going to say it again. I'll keep saying it. Like, I have to give, like, obviously I'm the one who's keeping it going, but like, you were the big reason why I've done this, dude. And it's,
dude, it's good, man. It's this. I've been writing stuff down so much to unpack, but like right off the top, like, yeah, dude, I used to look at myself like I look like a fucking boiled chicken,
I,
fucking boiled chicken, and like now I look in the mirror like when I was an 18-year-old and I was like looking for maybe 20-year-old looking for my first pube. Like I used to spend so much time in the mirror, like I think there's one there. Like I'll
God,
like
it took
catch
you
my
till 20. Jesus, dude.
probably something
I
like
had a
that. I don't
beard
know.
when I was 15.
I was sort of late, a little bit of a late bloomer, but no, like not to say I'm like checking myself on the mirror, but it's more like I don't know the person I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what 170-pound rib cage, six pack, like I don't know what that looks like. And yeah, dude, it's fucking good. And as far I've said to my wife, I've joked with her like looking at old pictures, even I'm saying old pictures, I'm talking like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm like, now I know why you used to shut me down so much. Like that, like fuck. Like that must not have been enjoyable, you know? And man, it's so good. And it's just gonna continue to get better, whether because like you're talking about people passing you and it's like, dude, you'll pass them next year, you know?
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted that I wrote down here was like you're talking about that feeling that you had and like all of that excitement and all that joy. And this is what somebody that has or wants to start running and thinks they're too slow to enjoy it. Like none of those feelings that you felt had anything to fucking do with pace. Not once were you like, you know, I'm only enjoying this because I'm feeling good or I'm going fast. Like I have as much fun now in races, even that Tesla Hertz trail run. I had just as much fun last year when I went 2 hours and 13 minutes that I did this year when I went 2 hours, 1 hour and 20 minutes, because the pace really doesn't matter. You know, what does matter is finding the most out of what you can achieve and knowing that that's good enough in itself.
And also too, man, like the journey to get there is what I think is a underrated portion that a lot of people look over in anything in life. Like when you're building a business, when you're working on your fitness, your running, whatever it may be, like that is one thing I've tried to spend more time finding the joy in is the progress and the work to get there, the journey.
Yeah.
Cause like when you just look at the end point, like you're missing out on all the good stuff. Cause when you get to the end point, what do? You look back at the journey that you took to get there and you're like, damn, that was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy that I did that for myself. Like I did it. So I'm trying to enjoy the journey. And for me, like this isn't for everybody, but one thing that does help me enjoy it, and I don't maybe it's just because I'm a douche or something. I don't know. But like posting my journey online is fun, dude.
Oh, it's
Because
nice.
I get to I get even if no one watches it, I get to document it for myself and I can go like the other day I was going back and looking on old videos and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like, it's crazy to see me running my first like 10-mile run. Like I remember running my first 10-mile run by myself and I was like, holy shit, I just did that. From a guy who's never ran more than like 2 or 3 miles in his life.
Dude,
I
nobody journals and then regrets it. And like
True.
social media is just like a way to it's a journal.
It's a
And
public journal.
it's a public journal, and the good thing is, I mean, the bad thing is you get a little bit of hate, but the good thing is you make some awesome relationships as well.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you one other starting line hack about the P thing. Your time starts when you go over the start line,
I
not
know
when they
that.
blow the horn. So like a lot of times you can kind of, especially in a big race like that, there's a starting mat that you run over and it starts your time. So
Yeah.
if you got to get to the finish a little bit late, not a big deal, because your time will start. Maybe a smaller race, maybe not like that, but bigger races, take your time getting to the start line.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to be behind the walkers and the strollers and get because they literally form lines and you're just stuck behind them.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know that all too well. It's the worst part of the Disney marathon. It's fucking
Oh yeah.
people, those weirdos taking pictures everywhere. So you pump for a marathon training block then? Can I write you a good block?
Oh, dude, I'm so ready for it, man. Like I literally cannot wait. Like I told Lindsay when when we got in the car, she's like, "So how you feel? Like how was it?" I said, "I'm stoked for Monday. Like
Yeah,
Monday starts marathon training and I can't wait. Like
yeah.
this is just such a like I'm literally ready to dedicate the next 3 months of my life
Hmm.
to this marathon training. Now, am I going to run sub 3 marathon? Hell no.
No,
Am I going to drastically, hopefully, improve my overall physical capability in the next 3 months? I hope so.
you're gonna go
I
fourth.
don't.
You're going 4:35. I'm calling it right now.
Oh my god, dude, that's a little aggressive.
4:30. You're going 4:35.
Okay,
You're going
we'll
4:35.
see. We'll see.
You're going 4:35. And I told you if you get like if we get to January 1st and you're like still like all in, I'm gonna do it. I'll come pace you to 4:30.
What's that? What's that? Per mile? Do you know?
I want to
Let me look it
say
up.
I did 4:17 and that was like 9:20 pace. I know the like the top of the hours. Like I know that 4 hours is 9:08 pace. So add
Let's see.
26 minutes to that. Add 26 minutes to
So
uh
what'd you say? 4:30.
4:30.
So 4:30 would be okay. 4:35 is 10:30 pace.
Done.
4:30 is 10:20.
Done.
So basically, I'll be running my marathon faster pace than I did my 10 miles today.
Yes.
We'll see, baby.
We're gonna at least we're gonna find
We're gonna
out.
find out. We're gonna fuck around and find out. That's for
Fuck,
sure.
the more you fuck around, the more you will find out. Well, that's good, man. I mean, I was talking with Tara too today about you doing the race, and she's like, "Wow, with the money thing, you guys kind of like ran out of things to talk about, but with this running thing, you guys are doing dope shit every weekend."
It's
And
awesome.
it's so true. Like between Tara's race and the 100K, and now this race, and the New York City Marathon's next weekend. So we're going to get to talk about that epic adventure. And hopefully I'm talking about how I PR'd and,
Yes.
you know,
Mason and I are signing up for another 5K.
Beautiful.
Yep. Thanksgiving.
And I just, one last thing I want to say, cause, you made a good point about, the journey, and I'll give 2 examples from personal experience in the last year and the contrast. So I trained for the Shore to Shore 50K on April 13th. I trained my ass off for it. I'd never followed a training block, and I came off of I was in a mile streak, and I was like never feeling good. I never feeling better. I lost some weight, kind of like I started that training block, kind of like where you are now. Like I was fired up, and I'm like, I am going to shit on this race. And I put all my eggs in that basket of dominating my first 50K. I didn't think about other races. I didn't think about my fitness. I didn't think about my weight loss. I didn't think about my sobriety. All I thought about was I need to do well. And I focused on like, I can podium in my age group and I can do these things. Boom. 3 weeks before, break my ankle. And because I was just focused on the race, the lows that I felt after that, and my wife would say, Brad, like, look at what you've already accomplished. I'd be like, fuck that. Like, it's ruined. Like, I felt like I was just going for that. And when it got taken away from me, I realized that, I hadn't put as much, I hadn't stopped to look around. I hadn't paused for a minute. Getting out of debt, back to the debt example, like when you're paying off debt for 3 years and you go from having 150,000 down to 100,000 in debt, you celebrate when you break that $100,000. Like, you need those small wins along the way. You need to take that journey on. And when I finally got better and I wobbled through that race or whatever, I told myself for the 100K that I was going to approach it differently, and I was going to enjoy the process, and I was going to just have a good time with it. And one of the reels that I posted from the night before, it wasn't cliche. I truly meant, like, I don't care if I finish, because I know on Sunday I'll be a better man because of the journey, because of the sobriety, because of the fitness, because like now I'm coaching like 6 athletes. Like, never would have thought that would be possible. Like, all of those things I didn't give a shit about. And turns out I didn't officially finish, right? I didn't make the cutoff. And if I would have put all my eggs in I need to get stones for this race and I need to finish, and like, I probably would have drove home the next day upset. But I didn't give a fuck that I didn't finish. Granted, it would have been nice, but I really meant what I said the day before. And if you're going to think about what you're going to do, there is nothing wrong with having a goal and not achieving it. Like, next week, if I go 4:18, am I going to be upset? Yeah, I'm probably going to be pretty upset. But I'm immediately going to think back, or I'm going to listen to this episode again, and I'm going to think to myself, I still had a great training block. I still did all the things. And like, I know that if I don't PR, something happened that was short term. So many fucking things could happen on race day.
That's so good, dude.
So many things, and just don't forget to just have some fun, take a deep breath, breathe, start small, 10-mile weeks for the first couple months, jump it up to 15-mile, 20-mile weeks, find the right pair of shoes. So finding a pair of running shoes is like falling in love. Like, you just know when you put the right pair of shoes on, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like your shoe is like making love to your foot. You're like, this is amazing. This is nice. And if you worry about what shoe your friend's wearing, you might, like, your friend's married to that girl. You probably don't want to bang her, but he loves her. And the same has to be true for running shoes. Maybe a friend's wife's hot. I don't know. Maybe you would bang her. I don't know. Maybe you're a sick freak like that, but maybe that's a bad example.
Jesus.
Don't bang your friend's friend. Don't
bang your friend's wife. If you take one thing from this podcast,
isn't that one of the? That's one of the 7 deadly sins, isn't it? No,
it is.
No, that's a commandment. It's a commandment, right? Whatever. Just bang your own wife, all right, or your own husband.
Hit her with the 220.
Yeah. Just go at her with the 85 beats per minute. Anyway, just enjoy the process and reach out and have some fun and find and do it with other people, because it does suck doing it alone. And you can, like I mentioned early on in this podcast, just DM us. We get excited when you DM us.
Mm-hmm.
I love screenshotting things and being like, JJ, look at this.
Yep. It's
And
awesome.
he's like, I already saw it. And I'm like, you didn't send it to me?
Well, it
But
also lets us know that people are actually listening. Because
yes.
like on YouTube, like you get comments, on Instagram, you get comments, and you can like communicate with everybody. But like this podcast, I mean, besides like seeing our like downloads, like we have no idea what people are thinking, or and that's the good part about the Discord, we get to like see in there. But other than that, like
Nah, yeah, I don't
that's
know.
it. Like we think we may be talking to
Ourselves.
void. It's just random space. Oh my god,
The
dude.
ether. And if you want to run your first 5K or your first 10K, also you can DM me like on the side, Brad trains, and I'll write a program for you for a 5K. And you're like, I need a training program for a 5K. Sometimes you need somebody there to just walk you off the ledge.
Yep.
Sometimes you need somebody there to say, you don't have to run today.
Hmm.
So like that, I hired a coach because I was afraid of overtraining because I get caught on Strava and I get caught on Instagram and I see people building mileages and doing running challenges. Like, give you a great example. Like, I wanted to run a race and my coach was like, no. And I was like, but my friends, he's like, no. And he's like, I'll fire you. Like I need you. You fired me to tell you the things that you don't want to hear, and this is not. This is your friend going to come run this 100 miler with you? And I'm like, no. They're like, well, then you need to tell your friend that you got bigger goals, and sometimes you need a coach for that,
Yeah.
or sometimes you need a coach where, like my wife, one of her biggest downfalls is she treats a training program like it is gospel, like it is in stone. Sometimes you need a coach to be like, dude, you don't feel good? Don't fucking run today.
Yeah.
You got your kid's soccer game. It's pouring out. You need a day off. Take a day off because at the end of the day, it needs to be fun.
Hmm.
So let me
Agreed.
know. I could do that for you too. 5K, 10K, really anything up to a marathon. I'm gonna write JJ a training plan. We'll see how he does.
See it. You'll be I'll be your what do they call that? Your prodigy? Is that what that's called? Or no?
No,
Test dummy?
protege,
Protege? Okay.
my young protege.
Let's
No,
do
we'll
it.
be good. All right, Jay. You got anything else before we? I got to go upstairs and watch the Bears maybe win a game with a third string D2 quarterback.
No, dude. I don't have anything else. It was I'm just so happy I truly am happy with where I'm at right now. Like
Yeah.
on a fitness and mental level.
Did you see the Broncos playing Taylor Swift today when they beat the Chiefs?
I did. They end up beating them.
Yeah.
Jeez. I saw it
Lo-
was like 14-3 or something like that was the last time
Love
I
that
looked.
meme. Love it.
Oh, was Taylor Swift there?
I assume I couldn't care less.
Okay. I
I
know.
just
It's
saw
talked
I
about
saw
so
on
much.
Barstool Twitter that they were playing Taylor Swift songs. Everyone leaving the stadium.
Oh, Denver was?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
I
think
mean,
and I think it was hi, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me.
oh
On loop. On loop.
no.
Hi, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. Something like that,
Oh
whatever that
my
song is. The
gosh.
anti-hero song. They just kept it on loop as everyone was leaving the stadium.
Yes,
I
that
love
is awesome.
love the memes. Love the memes.
Those Jags are looking good, dude.
I don't
Six and two.
I just said sports just to sound cool. I have no
All right,
idea.
cool.
All right, guys, take it easy. We'll catch you next week. My 15th marathon, and
See how he does.
boom boom. Take it easy, guys.